Quiet self-mastery. A psychological reflection on inner control and calm authority. Most people believe control is visible. They believe authority announces itself. They believe confidence requires witnesses. They believe strength must be expressed to exist. They believe influence must be proven in real time. But psychology tells a different story. A quieter one. A slower one. The most powerful forms of control are often invisible. They do not announce their presence. They do not compete for attention. They do not attempt to persuade. They exist before words, before reactions, before behavior. They exist in what a person chooses not to do, in what they delay, in what they restrain, in what they allow to pass without expression. This form of control is unsettling to observe, because it does not give others anything to push against. There is a particular kind of calm that unsettles people, not because it is aggressive, not because it dominates the room, but because it does not respond the way people expect. An unreactive mind is difficult to read, and what cannot be read cannot be easily influenced. Most social interaction relies on predictability. A statement invites a response, an emotion invites a mirror, a challenge invites defense. When that pattern is interrupted, uncertainty appears, and uncertainty makes people uneasy. This is where quiet self-mastery begins, not in performance, not in expression, not in outward confidence, but in regulation. Modern culture moves quickly. Responses are expected immediately. Opinions are shared without delay. Emotions are displayed openly and often rewarded. Speed is interpreted as certainty. Volume is interpreted as confidence. Activity is interpreted as importance. Psychologically, these interpretations are unreliable. A fast response often signals internal pressure. It suggests the individual feels compelled to resolve discomfort quickly. A loud response often signals emotional overflow, an excess of feeling seeking release. Constant expression often signals an attempt to regulate the self through external feedback. The individual speaks not to communicate, but to stabilize. Calm behaves differently. Calm does not rush to discharge tension. Calm allows tension to exist without immediate resolution. This is often mistaken for detachment, or indifference, or weakness. But in reality, calm signals capacity. Quiet self-mastery is frequently misunderstood. It is assumed to be silence, withdrawal, passivity. It is none of these. Quiet self-mastery is internal organization. It is the ability to maintain psychological structure while the environment becomes disorganized. Thoughts remain ordered. Attention remains voluntary. Emotion is acknowledged without becoming directive. Emotion is not suppressed, it is contained. Containment is not denial. Containment is the ability to hold experience without discharging it impulsively. This ability forms the foundation of psychological authority. Emotion arrives quickly, often before language, often before conscious awareness. This is biological, not personal. Emotion is the nervous system's attempt to orient itself to perceived change. It is information, but emotion is not instruction. A regulated individual allows emotion to be felt fully, but does not allow it to dictate behavior. This distinction is subtle, and it matters deeply. Consider an ordinary interaction, a misunderstanding, a difference in perspective, a moment of mild tension. One person reacts immediately. Their voice changes, their posture tightens, their words arrive too soon. They may not even realize they are reacting. They believe they are responding. Another person notices the same internal shift, the same tightening, the same emotional signal, but they do not express it immediately. They do not release it outward. They allow the feeling to exist internally. This pause creates distance. Distance restores choice. Choice restores control. Control does not mean dominance. It means authorship over one's behavior. In many interactions, the person who pauses gains psychological leverage, not because they are manipulating, but because they are no longer predictable. Silence is often misunderstood as emptiness, but psychologically, silence is space. Space without intrusion. Space without direction. Space that allows the other person's mind to fill it. When someone does not respond immediately, the other person's thoughts become louder. They reconsider their words. They elaborate. They justify. They reveal. Silence does not force disclosure. It allows it. This is not manipulation. It is observation. The quiet individual does not extract information. They simply do not interfere with its emergence. This dynamic becomes especially visible in structured environments. In professional settings, one person explains constantly. They clarify before being asked. They anticipate misunderstanding. They manage impressions. Another person speaks rarely, only when clarity is necessary, only when contribution adds structure. Over time, the environment adjusts. People wait. They listen more carefully. They choose their words with greater intention, not because they were instructed to, but because the atmosphere changed. Silence reshapes dynamics. Discipline is often associated with visibility, with effort made obvious, with structure announced. Quiet discipline operates differently. It is consistency without commentary, behavior without explanation. Arrival is predictable, response is measured, departure is clean, no reinforcement required. Others begin to orient around this stability, not consciously, but intuitively. Authority does not arrive through intensity, it emerges through reliability. When behavior is steady, testing decreases. When reactions are measured, expectations adjust. When emotional expression is contained, boundaries are felt without being named. This is not control over others. It is control over self. Psychologically, self-control is persuasive. Consider moments of subtle social tension, not conflict, just uncertainty. One person becomes restless. They speak more. They seek resolution quickly. Another remains still, attentive, unhurried. This stillness communicates capacity. It suggests nothing needs to be fixed immediately. This alone shifts the interaction. Over time, calm behavior accumulates meaning. People begin to anticipate restraint. They pause before reacting. They sense awareness. Respect forms quietly, not because it is demanded, but because it feels appropriate. Influence forms the same way, through presence, not assertion. Quiet self-mastery does not arrive suddenly. It develops gradually, through repetition, through restraint, through waiting. There is a moment when a person realizes they no longer need to react, not because nothing affects them, but because they can hold the effect without becoming it. This realization is subtle, almost invisible, but it changes everything. The individual no longer feels compelled to prove, or explain, or defend. They do not withdraw. They simply do not leak. Their energy remains contained. Their response is deliberate. Quiet self-mastery does not announce itself. It does not seek recognition. It does not need explanation. It is felt. In the way a person listens, in the way they wait, in the way they allow silence to exist. The calmest person in a room is rarely the most expressive, but they are often the most grounded, and grounding is where real authority begins.